Hey, America! Check out 16W with Norman. All the self-deprecation and stupidity you can handle, available wherever you download and listen. Rate, share, and review. I'm Chris Cody. Arr!
What's going on, everybody out there? This is 16W without Norman today. I think he had a prior engagement and he is off doing something. He's nowhere to be found over there in the corner. So I'm going to do a quick rundown as to what's going on. I've had a bunch of people ask me about my Tuesdays with Tommy podcast, the thing I do with my dad, and a lot of people seem to dig that. We let you a little bit behind the curtain here. We've been trying to come up with subject matter for him to get into. We thought we had something squared away and ready to go, but basically he had been telling me for about a week and a half he was watching Game of Thrones, which I was super impressed because if you don't know my dad, his memory is starting to go a little bit. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, he's watching Game of Thrones. I mean, that's pretty intense. There's a ton of character stuff there, and there's a lot of things going on, and there's just a lot of espionage type things and all this, back and forth backstabbing and all the things that go on with Game of Thrones. If you haven't seen it, you're missing out. Just don't worry about the last couple episodes. But then in the midst of dinner about a week ago, I said, so Dad, do you want to do a podcast? We'll talk about Game of Thrones. I said, we could talk about everything that's going on in Westeros. And his reply was, what's Westeros? And I said, okay, well, what season are you on? He's like, I'm on like season 4. And I'm like, okay. So we had to put a pin in that one, because if you're on season 4 and you don't know what Westeros is, so we might have to find some additional subject matter to get into with him, and see if we can make some of that happen. I'm trying to come up with stuff. So any suggestions are more than welcome. Please comment, share, and while I'm saying that, if share the podcast with your friends. Like, share, subscribe on YouTube. We're also through Anchor, Spotify. You can find the podcast there as well. A lot of stuff going on the past couple weeks and things that are happening. I just wanted to cover a few things and kind of keep the podcast to about a half hour if possible. This easier to digest, easier to kind of get through, and have the audio version available as well. So. First thing I wanted to talk about the NCAA tournament. Okay. I have been filling out brackets for 30 years for the NCAA tournament. This year, the closest I've ever come is if Chris Webber didn't call a timeout in whatever that was, 93, I would have won that pool in my office. He called timeout. Some woman won it, and I lost it. I'm not bitter about it. It's only been 30 years. So, but I still remember that one. But this year, the top of my bracket, I pretty much got every game right except for like 2, but the bottom of my bracket, my final 4 picks from the bottom side of my bracket were out in like the first or second round. So I'm like, oh God, this is terrible. It turned out I ended up having Baylor beating Gonzaga in the final, so I ended up getting all the way through, having my final 2. I finished on ESPN's tournament challenge in the top 89 percentile, which, is, you think that's okay, but then you look at your score and I had like 1290 and the winning score was like 1690, so it wasn't even really all that close. But I say all that to tell you that now at 48, soon to be 49, mentally 29, soon to be 49, I did not watch a single second. I have not even seen the buzzer beater that sent Gonzaga to the final. I have no interest in watching it. The games they were on literally every night because of COVID and the location and all that stuff. And I just, you know what? I like sports. I can't do sports every night, every day. I mean, I just can't do it. It's exhausting. It takes too much out of me to do it. And my wife's not super into it enough where I could get into it and watch it. Maybe SU, we might watch Syracuse. Her whole family's from there. But even that, like we don't watch any of that. So finished in the top 86 percentile without watching a single second of any NCAA basketball. So that was the extent of my sports. I did want to talk about, I went today, so I've talked about this before. I'm kind of like a pizza snob. A lot of people from New Jersey are pizza snobs. And there's a certain texture to the pizza. There's a certain crunch to the pizza. I mean, it's not Chicago style pizza. It's thin crust, round 16, 18 inch pie type thing. There was a place 2 miles from my house. The guy, Gene, who grew up in New Jersey, seriously less than 5 miles from where I grew up, had a pizza shop right here. It was great. We went there regularly. For whatever reason, there's a terrible, a dog shit pizza place that's still open that somehow gets business, and that place closed because it couldn't get foot traffic, and they were in the same plaza. And I just don't get it. Sorry, Florida people, I love you. You have zero taste for what's good pizza. If you want to eat the pizza that's here, I'm not even going to name the name of the place. It's terrible. It's disgusting. I think the person lives actually in my neighborhood. I've tried it to give it a shot, and it was garbage. But the pizza that this guy made was fantastic, and he had to shut down, and he ended up going up and opening like a deli sandwich shop type place up in Spring Hill. So I live in New Tampa. Spring Hill on the map says it's 30 miles away, but it's all back roads. So this morning for my dad, I went and got him a Taylor ham and egg sandwich and some crumb cake. I have to tell you, the round trip took me about 2 hours to do this, to get him breakfast, and the ride just sucked. But if you have not checked out, now I don't know anybody watching this that lives near Spring Hill, or if you are from the Northeast and you want to take a ride, every Friday morning, this dude makes trays of crumb cake. It's as good as Mills Bakery in Woodridge, New Jersey. The crumb cake is phenomenal. You could tell it's made with love. I mean, the butter, the crumb is incredible. The cake underneath is soft and buttery and moist. And then the Taylor ham and egg was lights out. I mean, on a hard roll, like here, you don't really get hard roll. You get Publix hard rolls. They're not really the same thing. So shout out to him. It's Gino's sub and deli or cafe or whatever it is. It's in Spring Hill. Just put in Gino's in Spring Hill. You'll find it. It's kind of this little gem in a little plaza. For me, it was worth the trip. Friday morning is the only day he makes the crumb cake. So my diet consisted today of a half a Taylor ham and egg. My dad had the rest of that. He had a piece of crumb cake. I had 2 pieces of crumb cake. And then a cup of coffee. So my diet is clearly getting on point. So definitely shout out to him. As for my diet, back in January, I talked about wanting to get back into training and possibly doing some sort of show or something like that at 50, after I turned 50, which I knew it was going to be a long process. The getting out of the gate of it has taken a little bit longer because of the surgeries and stuff I had. Some of those things are taking a little bit longer to heal. My back right now, you could see I'm kind of leaning forward in my chair. Leaning back kind of causes a pressure point on my back, which is a little rough. But I do have to go in to have one revision done to this surgery that they did when they removed all this skin from when I lost a bunch of weight. And I have like a skin fold right here that just needs to be clipped off, and I'm not going to take my shirt off and gross everybody out. And then I have another thing, on my chest right in the middle that those 2 things are going to get corrected next week. But I've been back to working out, and it's good. I'm real sore. It's one of those things. It just takes time. I'm doing something suggested to me called German volume training. And basically it's a couple of, it's quick. It's, depending on how you do it, I've kind of broken it up. It's supposed to be 3 days a week. I've broken up muscle groups a little bit differently so I can get in and get out quicker. I've been using the gym in my neighborhood to get in and out quicker. Would go for, say, a normal Monday with chest and back. That would take, stretching and rolling and driving to crunch and doing all the stuff that needs to be done. I'm probably talking 2 hours round trip between the driving, the rolling, stretching, and all that stuff. Whereas here I can stretch and roll in my house, walk down to the gym in my neighborhood, and in 30 minutes, 45 minutes tops, I'm in and out. So I've been breaking that up a little bit, and it seems to be going okay. The soreness is rough, though. Just trying to get out of bed, like between the back and the soreness from getting back into the gym consistently. Like last night, I just couldn't get comfortable, and Norman, he's not here right now, but Norman was like all over me and like rolling into me. So trying to sleep with 3 bulldogs in bed and another human being, the bed can never be big enough, no matter what. And if it's like a double king size bed, it doesn't matter. I don't know if you guys let your dog sleep with you, but these guys will press up against you and push, like they push me to the edge of the bed. Like I could start dead in the middle right next to my wife. By the morning, I'm hanging with 1 foot off the bed. It's one of those things. So probably my issue, I should probably boot them from the bed, but I like Norman more than I like pretty much everybody. So it's okay if he kicks me out of bed occasionally. So I kind of wanted to get caught up on that. So I'm still on track to do what I think I want to do. I just need to gain weight. Right now I fluctuate. Right now I've been between 185 and 192 for the past 3 weeks. I'm trying to eat as much as I can. I just can't take in enough food to gain enough weight to keep it on and sustain it. So it's not great food. It's not healthy food right now. It's just trying to put on some weight food so that when hopefully I get back to about 225, 230, and I can start to, kind of firm it up and get it the right way. But it's taking much longer than expected. I was hoping to have that squared away and be back in the gym full time by February 1. Then it got pushed to March 1, then April 1, and now it's come up where I'm going to be back in Sarasota and Bradenton at Pope Training and Performance in beginning of May. So that's one of the things that's going on. Other stuff we have going on around here. I talked about Gino's. I talked about Tuesdays with Tommy. I talked about my sister-in-law is having a baby. So she is 6 months pregnant, and we are super excited that he is coming. We know his name's going to be Mason, and he is scheduled to be here, I think, like late July, early August. Perfect time to be 8-9 months pregnant, living in Florida. So she's gonna be miserable. I know that, but she's a trooper. She's hanging in there, and I'll tell you, like my wife's family exhausts me. Like I not in a bad way. Just watching them go makes me tired. Like my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law up in Syracuse just opened an ice cream shop. Plus having two businesses and working and doing all this stuff. So they just opened this ice cream shop called Charlie's. It's in Camillus, New York. If anybody watching this is near Camillus, go see Charlie's. And they came up with a great idea. Their four kids, designed their ice cream menu, and they put together these things. And it's cute. It's really cool. I'm looking forward to getting up there at some point to see them. Unfortunately, the situation here with my dad, one of us has to be here. So Courtney and I have been trading off trips. She's gone away for a weekend to see her family. I went away to Dallas to see a buddy of mine. So we kind of trade on and off. So we can't really leave the house empty, unattended. And we've tried to bring people in, and it doesn't really work. So one of us is tied to here. So for now, I can't get up there. But back to them exhausting me. My sister-in-law works like crazy hours. She's like a workaholic. She's 6 months pregnant. She has decided she wants to move to a little bit bigger of a house. I mean, this woman is a rock star. Like, she going to be a single mom, decided she wanted a baby and said, screw it, I'm doing this. I'm in charge. And now decided she wants to move to a bigger house. So we've been on the weekends kind of looking at these houses in her price range. And then now she needs to get a new car because we're kind of shuffling cars here too. So like they just go. Like I literally run out of gas. I can't keep up, and these guys are just flying, doing all these different things, babies and cars and houses and lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, type of deal. And it's just been a lot that's been going on with that. And then trying to think of other stuff that's going on. I've been hooked on. I feel way behind the curve, kind of teasing about Game of Thrones and my dad, but my brother wouldn't shut up about Billion. Like, my brother has a couple shows that he's always watched that he would never shut up about, and I was always could get into them, but I couldn't sustain it. Like, it wouldn't hold me. Like, The Wire was one I've talked about on here. The Wire, really good. 5 seasons of it. The last season is just insane. The other one is Billions. Billions is just off the wall crazy. Like, people with such ridiculous money, it's incomprehensible type of deal. So I've been blowing through Billions, and I don't know if anybody watches it or has watched it. I think it's 5 or 6 seasons so far. I think the 6th season's supposed to come up. But there's a character on there named Taylor. So this is a hard thing for me, and I don't want it to come across the wrong way. Taylor is, and maybe I'm going to botch the terminology, but non-binary, I guess is the term. Like, not woman, not a man, not a woman, kind of in the middle, like what they would call like a they baby, which is like a thing. And it was hard for me to grasp. It's hard for me to grasp that, just because I'm older, a different generation. I don't quite fully understand. I understand gender fluidity. I understand people identifying different ways. I'm cool with all that. I don't. It doesn't affect me in any way, shape, or form what you identify as. I identify as a guy most days, and I don't have an issue with that. But her character, their character, is so smart and so deep and evolved that it's impressive to watch the character and the actor who plays Taylor in this show. And it got me to thinking, like, how would you introduce somebody? So like, and this is something I learned, and I'm just passing this along in case anybody doesn't know it. So like, if someone introduces me, they are like, this is Mr. Sedita, my wife is Mrs. Sedita, my sister is Ms. Husong, or whatever, that's your prefix. I never realized until I started to think about it a little bit more that the prefix for someone who is gender neutral is mix, MX. So, and I guess it's pronounced like my mom called me Mick, like Mickey, Mick. So like Mick Sedito would be the gender neutral prefix for somebody. So I got to thinking that the way the world is evolving, it's kind of for me, it's scary, different, but watching people use language to describe this character, they, them, their, and it's just interesting to watch the dialogue and how they flow in and out of it. Like I'm thinking to myself, acting isn't a tough job. I mean, there's people that are really good at it, but it's not like cracking bricks or laying concrete or doing something that requires you to break your back every day. It's acting, it's getting into a role. And watching these people do this dialogue, I'm thinking to myself, how many takes does it take that they just, because of repetition of life for the 40 plus years they've been on Earth, to have to change that? For me, it would be difficult. Like, so I watched that, and it's just impressive how they flow through the dialogue. And Billions is really good. I mean, this last season, it's crazy off the wall stuff. Some of it early on is investing, and it's kind of like Game of Thrones of finance. It's like someone's always trying to take out the next person in the show. And it's interesting the way their minds think as far as strategically, like a chessboard, and how to put pieces in place to get a desired result, to almost pull a desired result out of a situation, which is interesting to watch that in that series. Other than that, as far as entertainment stuff, a couple things, and I'll kind of wrap it up, and this is kind of a downer on this stuff, is, recently DMX died and Prince Philip died. And it got me to thinking, like, I don't know. I mean, I have an idea where I might be going, or, whatever you believe where you're going, or whatever happens to us when we exit this existence into another existence or no existence, or whatever that might be. And I was just trying to think of what that line was like, getting into, St. Peter at the pearly gates, if you believe that sort of thing. And DMX is right there, and Prince Philip is right there. And you couldn't have two people at two polar opposite ends in every possible way imaginable on Earth, right? And it got me to thinking, after, kind of tying it into Billions and the way these people live and the money they have and the money the Royals have. The money the Royals have compared to the money a rapper or an entertainer has in the U.S., we're talking totally different stratospheres. DMX clearly didn't lead a saintly life, but neither did Prince Philip. Things that have been done over his 99 years on Earth and time in the royal family. I'm not a big royal guy. I have some friends that are super into it. I've watched The Crown. I watch it on the periphery. I see what's going on with this generation, like Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, but I don't get so crazy over it. But the point I'm trying to make is that these two people, their existence on Earth ends within 48 hours of one another, and where they go and what they do and how they're judged got me thinking about, what is the end game of what you believe in. So for me, for the longest time, my belief has always been, look, when I grew up in I grew up Catholic, which is probably one of them. I mean, I don't know. I don't follow a bunch of religions, but Catholicism was a lot of guilt for me, of all the things I would do in life in this form that would get me to a place, whatever that place may be, either into this enlightened state of heaven or this existence of hell, whatever that is for me. And then I started to get into a whole thing as I got away from that guilt, where it's just, this is the life I have and this is how I live it, and whatever's going to happen when it's over is over, and there's nothing beyond that. I don't know where I lie day to day. I have a belief system that I don't want to really get into because it'll divulge a little bit too much about my background and some of the things I believe in. It's just more of a spiritual existence than a religious experience, having to pray to something. I pray to something. It's just not necessarily a white beard and robe and all that stuff. But these two guys, I identify more with DMX than I do with Prince Philip. Like this guy DMX struggled with humanly things that have taken out many people I know, and I'm watching this thing on Twitter, and it's just rest in peace DMX, and there's like for every like 5 tweets about DMX, there's like one about Prince Philip. And it got me to thinking just that either I don't have I have more followers I follow more people that are fans of DMX than are the Royals, or do we as people identify with the flawed person more and feel that empathy to the person who passes and life is cut short at 50, as opposed to I look at Prince Philip and say, guy's super wealthy, can't identify with him, lived to be 99 years old. That to me is a good run, and he's got the most, I'm assuming he got the most out of that. And then I look at a guy like DMX, and regardless of what you think of his addiction issues or his music, or whether he's a model citizen or not, whenever somebody dies, 50 used to seem real old, but whenever somebody dies, kind of that middle age, I feel like there's just so much left on the table. So many things that the addiction takes away from that person or from humanity as a whole. Not that DMX's music is this, Wild Stallions gonna save the world, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure music, but music has a way, and I said this to my wife the other night, music has a way of taking me back to a specific, almost minute in time. I heard a song on the radio the other day, and it took me back to Traveling Wilburys. I was watching Billions, and they talk about the Traveling Wilburys, and then I hear this song, Handle with Care. Great song. If you don't know who the Traveling Wilburys are, look them up. If you don't know who they are, come out from the rock you've been under. But this song, Handle with Care, it brings me back to like 11th grade. My brother lived in an apartment in North Bergen, New Jersey that overlooked the Hudson River. And for some reason, I think my parents were on vacation, and I stayed with him for a couple days, and he was driving me to school. And I just remember that song being on the radio, coming from North Bergen back to Woodridge on Route 3. And hearing that song puts me immediately in that spot. And I start to think about like things from that particular time. And that's why I think the DMX thing hits me harder. The empathy of it, the addiction of it, the talent of it, rather than being born rich and maybe doing more philanthropy in your life as a royal than you would as a rapper. But to me, it just hits me differently when someone goes at that age with that kind of talent. And maybe it's not the talent that you enjoy, but it's talent that the world has enjoyed. So that's my Friday podcast for today. Guys, if you are struggling, you know what? I don't have any fucking advice. I'm living day to day, trying to do the best that I can. Some days I fall short. Some days I'm okay. And we're just going to hang in there and try live to fight another day, as they say. So you guys have a great weekend, and I will catch up with you soon. Later.
Hey, America. Check out 16W with Norman. All the self-deprecation and stupidity you can handle, available wherever you download and listen. Rate, share.